Hi, everyone. It is a Monday, and it is the 20th day of October of 2025, and we are here. We are survivors, and that celebrate tonight. I couldn't help myself but to chime in with some interesting patterning and behavioral problems from the gang stalkers. Today, I was a little bit out of the area. I was about an hour away from my location, and I was in a certain location in Virginia. Now, I don't frequent this area, and there's probably a good reason why I don't. It's not that the people aren't nice out here, it's that the people I think are misled. Now, sometimes it seems that this is going very Republican, and I'm not against Republicans, but what I just saw when I was flipping through, but the tables have turned. When I was flipping through the news on YouTube, there was something with Trump and his appeal. Well, I'm going through an appeal right now. It's really interesting. But the way that people play other people in this game called gang stalking, it's very hard to tell who is on the right side of things and who is on the wrong side. This is almost impossible at this point, but I will give my 2 cents, if you'd like, on Trump. And I'm not a big fan, although I did vote for him the very first time I learned, after doing so, that appeals happen and that all sorts of lockups happen and that this is not a good dude to be around in the country. Okay, so I'm just going to get that out first and foremost. Now, but of course, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the other ones either. So that kind of neutralizes me. That puts me in purple. I'm wearing purple. So, yeah. But what happens is, I'm afraid that these people are very brainwashed, very much cult oriented. Everybody's kind of indoctrinated in, and people are designing their houses like freaking full blown plaid shit. What the like? Ex, we just need to put the bleeper in there. I got to get good at this. Um, yeah. I'm overstimulated today is what happened. And I'm not necessarily traumatized. I go off of people and off of their behavior when I'm around them. But I mean, decorated, decorated in these patterns. And you got to wonder if it's just by default, like if they go to garage sales and pick up things, or they happen to shop at the same places, so people try to sell them the same types of patterned stuff. But I've also noticed that on kids' things, like on their backpacks, or now Target is decorating this whole red, black plaid crap. But I've noticed different patterning just on the store shelves or on stuff that the kids buy or the kids like, that they're putting the checkers and the patterning into that so that the kids' minds are picking. It was something that I had seen the other day, whether it was in the electronics department, which is the very best place to put any kind of pattern propaganda, so that the kids read this and see it as, you know, oh yeah, now we're in this program, we're in this cult, we're in this group because yeah, everything's checkered, the checkered flag. It's happening. We're all part of the same squad. Yeah, so then it gets weirder. Today gets weirder, as if it could, right? If you're TI, a targeted individual, you guys listen. If I can survive this, I mean, I honestly, I wish that I beat my head off the wall thinking that if I can survive this, you can too. Because God, that makes me mad. Because what I've survived is unbearable. It's unbeatable. Which reminds me, there's a book. I think it's Mark Levin, and I think he was a former SEAL. It's the unbeatable mind. I think that's what it is. I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but I think that that is what it's called, you guys. You need to get that book and read that if you're a TI. That's a must read. Also, uh, so, so I'm in this area and everybody is driving red vehicles, whether it be a red SUV, red trucks, and people are weirdly horn honking. Like some people just sound the horn on their vehicle just in my presence in a really bizarre, like you got to wonder if they're drinking some kind of Kool-Aid before they do it, in a weird way. But then everything is red and everything is bizarre and everything is checkered flag. I Somebody even turned a pillow around in my presence today that had like a checkered side to one side of it, and it was orange, like orange checkered. And then on the flip side, it was like a purple paisley or something. So somebody in the family had probably sewn this. But then it was weird because when I had come back into the room, somebody had flipped the pillow around and it had an interesting flip side to it. Yeah, it's been a day. So, I mean, you can just tell, sometimes you can just look at photographs and you can just kind of tell who people are. Um, but yeah, and people are wearing masks and people are part of this cult programming, which is maybe saving a country, but it isn't saving the lives that belong in the country. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if you made an apple pie and you kept all the crust, but you threw out all the, you put together the insides, the pie filling, so to speak. The apples and the glaze and the sugars and all the good stuff, all the gooey stuff that's in the middle that really makes it, hearty and, that uh, is the center, the important part. And then you throw that out and you keep the crust. Yeah, that's kind of what is happening today in the country. I mean, it's kind of what's going on. But who am I to tell you? I've just, I mean, I've literally gotten my ass killed. I mean, I've had so much torture done to me as far as just one thing after the next. Yeah. Anyway, so this, as if seeing all the red cars wasn't enough, and I was in a remote area. So I was kind of off, I was off the grid. I couldn't even get cell service. And on my way out, there was a guy, an older man with a younger woman, pulled over on a back road of all places, which was, you can tell when it's a setup. You can just tell whenever it's just a false fake thing. I mean, I probably, if I had time, could have just sat there and waited till they just up and moved the vehicle because their vehicle wasn't broken down. This is a gang stalking technique, which is to threaten and bully um, the victim. And what they did was they had the hood up. They were kind of, she's sitting in the driver's side, he's under the hood, and they're just doing a false setup. These people are on some kind of crack. I kid you not. They're on crack because they're defending the outside of the apple pie. You know what I mean? Like the garbage, the stuff that's not good for you to eat. I'm just saying, this is how these people think. And they're going with the people who are, I mean, they're stopping at nothing to defend more criminals and bad leaders. So this was a red targeted program today. And I wouldn't I wouldn't do this show. I wouldn't do this podcast because I want to keep, you know, enmeshing myself in this glorified drama, which is it's just what it is. Like I look at it now and I'm like, you're pathetic. I just laugh at you, and I'm on my way. Because it's nonstop in an hour's drive to and from. You can imagine how many perps I passed, and even in between time while I was in the area, the stuff that had happened. So once I got past that, then I pulled over into this empty space, and I had a few minutes to kind of grab something to eat real quick. So I was doing that. Just pulled over in an empty lot. Well, it wasn't an empty lot. There were cars in there, but it was like a commuter lot. Well, this red truck pulls right in alongside me, just right then and there, right at the same time. And he lived across the street. Great, but it was interesting timing. And like I said, it was just kind of like that the rest of the day. It was everywhere I went, there was a red truck. And what I found was disturbing, highly disturbing, was this one place I was leaving, and I wasn't using my phone to take pictures or anything like that, which they might have known that I wasn't going to, probably because of my circumstances at the moment. But it doesn't really matter if you're trying to catch somebody in, in the midst of a crime. You would record it regardless of whoever's sitting next to you. But while I was trying to pull out, this red truck with these two Hispanics come, and people will drive their younger people around, like young kids, and even just to show them a face. Well, anyways, they were like, it was like a standoff by vehicles, one coming out of mine, coming out of this parking lot, and theirs coming out of the one across from me. And all they did was pull in there to turn around to pull back out, and they were waiting to be at a face to face with me. And I actually held back and just sat there to wait to see what their next move was going to be. They were just wanting to look. They were just curious cats. But this is what's so weird about this is, like, this brings me to tell you, when I got home, my neighbor R, who is part of the gang stalking perp plan, was in her garage, but she made herself visible. Usually she'll sit and make herself invisible, but she's there because she has her garage door up. But she was walking around, and she, even when I got out of my driver's side and I got into the back of my car to get something, she was still able to see me from her vantage point. And I was like, oh God, what in the world is wrong with her? Like, go get yourself a life. Go get a life. You just want to stand there and intimidate me and just be in that viewpoint. Just be in the picture. Like, in other words, if somebody is snapping a picture, she has to be in the picture. She wants to be in the photo. Um, like, go find something else to do. Like, especially since you know that you're a problem. You're the problem. You are an intimidator, an abuser. You are malicious. You're vindictive. You're spiteful. You're 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 doing criminal acts. You're perping out your neighbor. You're stalking and harassing your neighbor. I mean, these are all crimes, in case you don't know. But this is the same behavior that the guy in the red truck, just curious, very curious. And you can tell that they just pulled in just to be a nebnoser. And these two weren't the first people who did this today. There were more. There were more like them. And it was really bad behavior. This is terrible to teach your children. This behavior is sick and disgusting. You would think that adults would be groomed into behaving with adult like behavior. And some of these people even teach children. This is disgusting. Like, why are we letting people like that around children? People are modeling, and this behavior is teaching children to behave like their messed up adult versions. Disgusting. And like I said, neighbor R has neighbor A who behaves exactly the same way. And this perp in the red truck, which he wasn't the only one, will have somebody else who behaves the same way. And we're just creating more and more people who just creating more and more bad behavior. And this makes bad pies. You see? And eventually won't be able to bake pies anymore because there won't be anything left to bake. This is terrible. There was plenty more that I could probably say about this, but I'm going to let it go with the whole leave it up to you. It's red stocking behavior. There's nothing else that, I mean, there were plenty of other authority figures, plenty of other police cars, plenty of sirens, plenty of, paramedics in the scene in the viewfinder today, if you will. But we're just gonna, play like it's not really happening. Just sit back and watch it all unfold. But it's just gross. Like, don't you have something else to do? Don't you have something productive to do other than just watch your neighbor? Like, if I wanted to hide something in the back of my car, if I just wanted to keep something concealed, or if I wanted to just keep something private, or if I want, no, my neighbor has to watch, just to gawk and watch everything that I'm doing. Like, what the hell is wrong with her? And the same thing with the perps. They are just disgusting. Don't you have anything better to be doing than to be driving around harassing people or stalking people? Like, don't you have something better to do with your time? And I can think of something better to do. I had a place to go. The perps are terrible. They're just terrible. And it's getting worse. It's just grown so bad, and people are on some kind of cult Kool-Aid. We're gonna call it the cult Kool-Aid. I mean, it's just poison. It really is. It's poisoning the well. And we don't have any good leaders in charge to fix this. We're putting more poison on the podium, so to speak. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to bed before I just start rambling some more.